All right, Ray West, singer of the rock band Spread Eagle and some other projects, is here today. He's got some great stories, insights, and responses to my questions. Some interesting run ins with other musicians, too. Lots of great stuff coming right up. Why is that always the case? Why is that cliche so true that it's like I feel like that's so many musicians I interview. They start out and they have success, and then they get into drugs, and then they sober up.
Creativity equals pain equals childhood traumas and a lot of like delusional wannabe things you think you're supposed to be doing. Like
Mhm.
I told someone like when I was little, you know, uh, Janis Joplin, it was like, oh man, and she did what? Oh, well, okay, I'll never do that. But all of a sudden you're like, I'm a little bored. I got some downtime. What do I do? It's let me get rid of this.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's going to be part of the issue is the downtime. I because there's a lot of when you're busy, but at the same time, like in between shows, like you get to a city and then you have a long, you only really doing a show for like an hour and a half, sometimes less, sometimes 20, 30 minutes if you're opening, right?
Yeah, and it depends on who you're hanging with. You know what I mean? It's like when I was younger, you learn your lessons the hard way. I had to learn. I know people that have never touched a drop or sniffed anything or whatever, but it's just people either do it and they stay with it, or they do it and they never touch it again.
Yeah.
And I
No, it's
call it.
interesting. Yeah, you're right. Because some of the people that don't, it's like they figure another way. I was just had the bassist from Rat on Juan Crucier, or I think that's how you say it. But yeah, he was telling me how he would back in the day. This was before like laptops and stuff. He would bring all these like mixers and stuff to when he would tour, and he would set up in the hotel room and he would write songs and like tinker and stuff. I was like, wow, that's like hardcore. Sounds like you didn't have a lot of time to do partying and stuff. So
Well, and nowadays people are like, people are like they're looking healthy, they're looking fit. The rock star image was different back in my day. You didn't do that. Now it's like guys are looking all buff. They're having like Red Bulls backstage. It was different when we were, it
oh
just
yeah.
I
Did you
sound
ever
old.
read Sebastian Bach's book?
No, I didn't, but I have it queued up on Audible.
It is a great. I read it in like 2 days, but there was a part in there. I want to say he was on tour with Bon Jovi. Maybe it might have been Richie Sambora, and he said he took his shirt off and he had like a beer gut. And then Sebastian Bach was like, "What the?" And then Richie was like, "Ah, a little cocaine will clear this right up or something." I was like, "What?" Like that was like a thing you did in the '80s. Like you just took some cocaine to like lose weight.
It's funny, like was it the original diet plan, the cocaine diet they called it. But I
I
mean,
guess so.
I was on my downtime. We weren't touring at that time back in the days we weren't touring. We were just about to leave the label. When I left the label, I really just sort of boredom and depression and everything just sort of piled in on me. And someone just said, "Hey, Ray, man, I got something for you." You know what I mean? And I was gullible. I was insecure, and so it made the world go away.
Is it harder to get drugs though after you leave a band like that? Now it's like you're not getting them for free as much, right?
That's right. That's what happens. Everything's for free. I didn't pay for a drink since I was like 15 years old being in bands. You know what I mean? And yeah, everything was free. And then you find yourself, your savings account gets dwindled and your friends don't want to talk to you anymore. No one wants to loan you any money. It gets pretty ugly. You become another person. You could be the nicest guy in the world, soulful, kind, but this thing turns you into something else because it turns you into a zombie. All you want to do is feed and it's pretty ugly.
Yeah. Your drug of choice was what? It was
I fell into heroin,
the hard stuff. Damn.
for
Okay.
the class A, seventh degree arrest, felony arrest. Um, it just happened. It wasn't something I was proud of. But it just seemed like at the time in Manhattan where I was living, everybody was doing it, and it seemed the norm. You went to an ecstasy party, there was some heroin, you sniffed it, and I knew guys that came over there. I won't say any names. A particular person we probably both know. We were sitting down one night, and he asked me to get him. Particular person asked me to get him some heroin. Go, I can't sleep. Okay, great. They're sniffing cocaine all night. I'm on the other side of the table just chilling. And they're like, "You can have the rest of the bag." So I thought, I'll sniff the dope, And as they're sniffing cocaine, they said to me, "That stuff's gonna kill you." I thought that was
Wow.
serious. Come on, man. So everybody has their different views on it. I fell into it. Luckily, years later, I snapped out of it. But I have a lot of friends that didn't snap out of it, and there's
Yeah.
people that have really bad stories, worse stories than me. Those are the ones that aren't alive. So it just took away it took away everything. It took away the
Yeah.
money, my friendships, my relationships. It all fell away. For a while, I was just like at rock bottom on my own.
So how'd you snap out? It was like a rock bottom moment. Was there something that one thing that
Yeah,
happened?
they say you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I wanted to get back into the human race because you just fall away from the world. And also raising my boy Brando, that snapped me out of that.
Mhm.
That came a couple years later, but it kind of snapped me out of it. I think you just an inner strength sort of just finds you and says, what do you want to do? Are you going to die or are you going to live? It's an easy choice.
Hmm.
It's not a recreate. Nobody can use heroin recreationally. It's
Right.
impossible.
Well, that's the same thing you're seeing, or we're seeing over here. I'm in Arizona, but we have the fentanyl problem. It's just, I think
Yeah.
it's in Seattle too. I think it's either fentanyl or heroin. A lot of those homeless people are, and it's sad. And now there's some new drug called Trank, and you'd see these people online, and literally look like a zombie, and they're just like falling asleep, standing up. It's weird.
Yeah, there's always going to be some new thing, whether it's made in the lab or someone discovers it in a forest somewhere. But there's always going to be some new thing because they're going to put the kibosh on this, and they're going to find something else to feed the kids. And those are the ones that are most susceptible to everything. That's the real reality. That's the harsh shit of it.
Yeah, because I think my theory is like everyone's built to do something on this earth, and maybe you just don't, and if you don't know what that is, or you feel like you're not achieving you're probably feeling like you got lost, and you're like, okay, well, I thought I was supposed to be a musician, maybe
Right.
I'm not, and so then you fall into the drug, like people fall into these drug things, and it just like numbs it temporarily. But that's good that you're able to get out, and now you're back on track with the music.
Well, I mean, I've had people that had just turned their back on me because of it. They didn't want to deal with me, and maybe at that time, I had someone tell me, I remember asking for someone. I think it was an old manager for like $20. He looked at me and he said, "I can't give you $20. You're a fucking junkie." That shit woke me up fast. When someone tells you that, and it's not something you think you're ever going to be. You know what I mean? It's like, come on,
Mhm.
do that. That's disgusting. And there you are, man. But you snap out of it. Some people learn the hard way. That's me. 7 or 8
Wow.
later, we're talking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like you said though, it's like at least you made it through. That like there's so many that didn't, that died at 27 or whether there's that club. It's so stupid, but
It's just ugly, man. And you see a lot of people, and like you said, fentanyl is a new thing. As I play the clubs, I don't see much of it, but with the kids, I hear a lot about it. So I do speak to a lot of the young folk that come to the gigs, and it's a different breed. You know.
yeah, it's interesting now because like weed is legal. So it's like that's not, you're not even like really being a rebel if you smoke weed now. It's like you could just do that legally. It's not even that big of a deal. So
Yeah, and for some people, it's not a gateway drug, man. It's about like where you're at in life. If you're an insecure person and you fall on some and you've just been so hurt by your own bullshit, it's like putting on a warm coat, a warm blanket. It just makes the world go away. That's what that drug does. Coke wakes you up and you're in the middle of everything. You're an asshole. But the other thing just makes you go to sleep and just puts you out.
turns the world off. Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning it's a great push. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I can sing on this stuff. And then after a while, you can't.
Yeah. No, it's like I like what you said about rejoining the human race.
Yeah,
Because
man.
I feel the same way. Like even just like sometimes I'll go through these times where I'm just like, or like not as much now, but like when I was in my 20s and stuff, I'd be drinking a lot, and then it's like, then you start like as you get older. I think that's the other thing. It's like you get older and you start looking back. You're like, what am I doing? Like what? Like I'm just, this is my life. Like I'm just gonna get drunk every weekend. Like this is stupid. Like well, I want to like do something with my life, like something I can be proud of.
Yeah. Do you want to live? You know what I mean? Or do you want to die? Either way, it's just the way I look at it. If you want to be a part of the life, you got to join life, and you got to man up, take your lumps, and just feel the pain. You got to embrace the pain because it's part of it. People that are afraid to embrace pain, they're the ones that have a hard time with it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's, I feel like the harder you try to fight against pain or anxiety or whatever, try to like, oh no, I'm not, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to talk about that. And then it just like it becomes stronger. You kind of just have to let it come in and go, okay, just let myself be anxious for a while, or pissed off or whatever. Just let it happen, and then eventually it goes away.
Yeah, and I was at a point too where we were like, our band was making a lot of moves when we got signed. We got signed pretty quick. We were moving fast. We were moving up. It was a good live band. And when the atmosphere of rock and roll changed and was changing of the guard, you got everybody got hurt by the business, I think, and some people handle it in different ways. So mine was to just party as much as possible and be stupid as possible. Be like, oh, that never
Yeah.
happened to me. That never happened. I don't remember anything, but it did.
Yeah. When you guys got signed, it's weird. I interviewed your bandmate Rob, and I
Yeah.
thought I had asked him about this, but I guess I didn't, or maybe this just came to me. But I seem to maybe I made it up. I don't know, but I feel like I read this article about you guys where I forget who signed you, but whoever it was they were looking for like the next Guns N' Roses or Motley Crue. And then when they signed you, they were like, yes, I got my Motley Crue or whatever. Who was that? Who was the guy that signed you guys? I forget who it was.
The guy that signed us was from MCA, Bruce Dickinson. Now, there's two Bruce Dickinsons, right?
Right.
There's really the singer rock star, and then but the one that signed us was, remember the skit on SNL with Christopher Walken, more cowbell.
Yeah.
That's our Bruce Dickinson.
Okay.
Kind of like a pretty popular A&R guy. So I guess between the way our management talked us up and what he was looking for, they thought it was going to be like that, you know. But they didn't know what to do with us once they had us on the label.
But is that true that that's what he wanted his own kind of Guns N' Roses is what?
I think one of the band was really going to swing for the fences and be aggressive, you know, because everything was kind of being like ABC cookie cutter rock and roll around that. And we were, you know, they wanted something musical but aggressive with the screamy kind of vocal, and you know, there's something very in your face, and we were very high energy in your face. So,
But he signed you before you even played a gig, right?
yeah, we got signed out of a rehearsal.
That's crazy.
They all came to see us at rehearsal. We were like, I mean, there was a lot of like buzz about the band in the city, but we thought we would have to do showcases and things like that. But they all came to rehearsal. We never had to do a show for them, or one of those sterile SIR, you know, like set up a cooler and just sit there, you know. It was pretty cool. And that day he came in and he was like, let's do this. And we're like, okay.
Well, yeah, I wonder if part of that was based on that other song that you guys had before when the band, you weren't in it. It was a different band, I guess, technically Bang or whatever. They had the Summertime. And that was like, I guess it won, like, I just watched that video. I was like, oh, it's kind of a catchy song, but they won like the Basement Tapes MTV contest or whatever. So I wonder if part of that was based on that, because your guitar player wrote that song. It was pretty catchy.
Well, you know, Paul was a very gifted player, and that song was very Van Halen-y. You know, that was the era for them back then, you know. And when Paul came to the city to meet me, you know, it was a real change for him. You know, he had to change his style. He got more aggressive. We were all came from clean kind of, you know, we just had kind of a I don't know, more laid back band image, and we all kind of got into this sort of new mentality. Like, let's just be aggressive. Let's get the city behind us. Let's be New York City, wherever that is, and have this great energy. So, you know, those guys had their own thing in Boston, and you know, then they came to New York and they had to like take it up a notch.
How did they find you again?
Well, actually, I was in a band. When I moved to New York City, it was to be in a band called Fox Hunt, and
Okay.
actually had a guitar player who was on heroin. And what he did is he stole all the band gear and he moved to California. We needed a guitar player. Somehow my manager and Paul's manager got introduced to each other. So Paul
Okay.
was actually brought to New York to join the band that I was in.
Oh,
So now what happened was we started to rehearse, and somehow they want to let the other guitar player back in the band. I don't know why. They thought he was like kind of like, you know, just that rock and roll Keith Richards modern day type, you know? And Paul was like, fuck this shit. This isn't working. So he brought Tommy and Rob to New York City. They needed to make a demo, so they were doing that. They needed a singer for their demo, and I was asked to sing on their demo so that they could find another singer. And just so happens we were doing some recording, and we were like, that sounds pretty cool. So we decided to put the band together right then and there, and I joined them. You know, it all came together.
which songs were on the demo?
I think we had like Switchblade Serenade, Scratch was on that demo, and there was possibly a song called Gunshot that never made the record.
Oh,
You know, that was kind of more like an LA Gunsy sounding kind of song. But there was about 3 or 4 songs on there by the time Bruce and them got to us. But it was pretty quick, you know, record the demo, keep writing. We wrote half the record in the studio because we got signed at about 5 tunes. And they're like, let's just sign you guys now. The next, you know, before you know it, we're in the record plant in a real fucking studio dealing with that shit, you know. And I thought I was hot shit on the microphone until I got in the record plant. And something about it was just like, oh my God. It was very big, you know?
yeah. Well,
I learned a lot.
but you already had a manager. So did he look over the contract and stuff? Cause that's kind of a big thing. I thought I heard you say something about that. Like make sure that you have somebody look over the contracts when you sign these things.
like what happens is a lot of bands get the record deal dangled in front of them, and then before the record deal comes a production agreement, right? So our manager wanted to be our producer
Hmm.
and wanted to be also our production company. So you got four hungry guys. The label's right there. The night before, we get told, "Listen, man, why don't you guys sign this production agreement, and then we'll get you to the label." So you're telling me we can't get to the label unless we sign this thing? And it became kind of one of those kind of things. So we signed a production agreement with our lawyer looking it over, of course. And I think when we signed to MCA, the lawyer was hired for us by our management. So
Hmm.
it was pretty tricky, you know. It's the old adage, man. Guys are really hungry; they'll do anything to get on the label, and you sign your life away. I'll tell you about the day we signed a contract. Remember the movie Devil's Advocate?
Yeah, like just rewatched that the other day.
Okay, so the room's dark. It's one of those long ass rooms. We have big rooms with a long table, and we're all
Yeah.
just sitting around. There's a pile. The contract's about this fucking thick. Excuse my French. It's about this
Yeah, I
thick.
know.
You sign page after page after page,
Same.
and the other manager Scott says to us, "Guys, you're looking all mellow, man. No one looks happy. You just signed a record contract." I'm like, "Yeah, but that feels weird. It just
Hmm.
felt weird, you know." You wanted to really enjoy the moment, but there were so many strings involved.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
did they take more of the cut than they should have?
it's always like that.
Hmm.
Back in the music business days, you had the pie, and then you had half goes to the label. Then the half the year that's yours is everybody gets a cut. By the time you're done, you got half a slice of fucking pie. You know,
Hmm.
it's not pretty. Um, None of us were rich. None of us had a big time lawyer to hire. You know, we did the best we could. You know, and we made some money, but it's like anything else. Once again, I wasn't a business person, and the rule I tell everybody is like you've heard: have a lawyer, a very good lawyer, look over a contract. Learn entertainment law or business. Just learn because if you're going to go into making money in music, that's what you would have to do. But nowadays, the business is different. The business isn't the music business doesn't really exist like it used to anymore. Nowadays, we're peer to peer salesmen. We make our living by going on the road. That's how we have to do it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so like when you sign a deal now with Frontiers Records, I mean, it's totally different, right?
completely different. That's a different animal. You know, they give you a smaller budget. You don't get the quarter mil like I used to. You know, small. You're lucky if you get 15 grand out of someone now. You have to
Mhm.
cover studio costs and things like that. A video, make a decent video. So it's tricky, that kind of business. You know, you have to. That's why you have to involve a lot of social media. You know,
Yeah.
the marketing department is you, unless you pay someone.
Do you still have money coming in from from Frontiers and the old stuff and then merch and like there's still money coming in at this point from the
Yeah, I
band?
get a couple bucks dropped every month. I get a little ass cap. I get a direct deposit, and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I was going to frame the last ass cap check I got. It was $2.11. I was going to,
Wow.
but since then, we've done some work and we've rearranged some things. So now we get a couple bucks each month. It's nice passive income.
Yeah. But like I mean, so like merch too and stuff. And like, isn't there money from the videos and the YouTube and the other stuff?
Once again, that's a package. Is the way it's done. Merch, as far as the old days, we don't get a cut of that. We make our money now on our own merch.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the harsh reality, man. We don't make, there's no like. I think back in the day, we actually sold a song to a TV show. That was a big check.
Oh.
But does money come rolling in like it used to? No, it doesn't. That's why we have to get on the road. That's the harsh reality.
Yeah. Well, and you didn't a tour back in the day with Vane, I think, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Tell me about that. I know there was a you got kicked off the tour because Tommy ran on stage naked or something like that. But
yeah. That and there was some. I'll be real with you. I won't hold back any punches. Since then, we've met Davey, and things have been really mellow. And Rob's crossed paths with him a few times. Back then, we were young and cocky. We were feeling ourselves. We were the aggressive rock band, and I thought Vane at the time was very light, you know, and they had cool, girly, catchy songs. Now I thought they were cool. They were great live, I thought. But one day we're in the Midwest somewhere, And I get a little aggressive on the mic sometimes, and you know, if there's a great crowd, I light up and I say some things that are rowdy sometimes. I said something like, hey, you know, this ain't no rock and roll glam fad bullshit. This is Fred fucking Eagle, so and so. And I guess after the show, there was some offense taken to that. You know, I'm like, I wasn't saying it at you, you know, just shouting out to the crowd. That's how we're that, you know, but it got taken very personal. And a lot of stuff elevated from there. One day we wind up at some bar. We're all heading to some gig. I think it's in Georgia. I don't know if it was Masquerade or someplace like that. We weren't allowed in the building. But well, what's going on? Their bus is there. Yeah, they called the cops. They said they're in fear for their lives or something. And then you got something like that, man. I'm not exaggerating. It just didn't work out.
Oh, it's that bad where they had to call the cops? Wow.
It was pretty bad. We weren't.
So that was how you got kicked off, more so than the Tommy running naked.
They were kind of more the headliners on that tour.
Yeah.
A little more seasoned. So, you know, for us to pull up and it's like, let us in. No, you guys can't come into there. You know, they don't want you in here.
That's a baller power move, though.
Fuck, man. You know, so, but what we did is that caused us to go out and just do our own shows.
Yeah.
So it was kind of it was a good break for us. You know, I remember we played our geographic locales with them, like Boston and New York City. We headlined. So other than that, we were always first on the bill with them. So, and maybe this got tired of us blowing the fuck away every night. I don't know. We were pretty darn wild on stage back then. We were like, somebody said we were like caged monkeys at feeding time.
Wow. Is there video of this on YouTube or anything?
You know what? Somebody sent me one of us playing at the Limelight from 1993. And I never watched myself on video. I won't do it. I won't. But I'll watch that one. It's pretty cool. We're on fire.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah.
That's coming from me. I do not like watching myself or listening to myself.
Yeah. Did you do any other tours besides that one with Vane back in the day?
We went out with Scatterbrain.
Oh.
Remember Tommy Price and those guys? Oh, those were fun shows.
That's different. Wasn't that more kind of a punk funk kind of?
They were like heavy funk, and Tommy Price was a funny entertainer. I learned a lot from him, just like his openness and his sense of self-expression. And he didn't give it how, you know, damn what he said. You know, it was just, he said it and that was it. Very Henry Rollins. This is me. You're gonna take what I give you, you know. But they were great. They were fun to tour with. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, do you have any other insights when you look back? Like, is there anything that you would have done differently? Like, would you have changed the name of the band, changed the style of the band, or because it was right about that era where the music scene changed? Like, do you think you would have changed it to get ahead of the game that way? Or
I think Shred music was kind of ahead of its time then. I think there was good songwriting, a lot of musicality. You know, we were making a third record, and that record was, you know, during that change, and we were already influenced a lot by bands that we met, like when we hung out with Alice in Chains and we met those guys. You know, I was very heavily influenced by Alice in Chains at that time. So we wrote a very heavy third record. We were starting to demo, and we were going in a more heavy direction anyway, because the thought was on the second record, do you want to make $150,000 or do you want to make $1 million? That's how they feed you. You know, then after that, we were like, let's make something really heavy that's just us. And we were starting to get as heavy as possible. But then, of course, egos and attitudes and drugs got involved. And that's where the bad shit comes from. That's where the war happened, you know. But we did a lot of, you know, as far as shows, let me just go back. We played a lot at this thing called, my favorite show was Concrete Foundations Forum. Remember those? Concrete Marketing Company out of New York City had a huge thing they did in California. It was like Judas Priest, Pantera, us. It was everybody. It was like a big metal convention where to be at, you know? And those gigs, you schmoozed a lot and did a lot of activity, and you got to watch everybody play. We played right before Pantera one night. So that was good stuff. You know, Spread did a lot of great things in a very short amount of time. It's just that everything was left on the table.
Yeah. Did you ever do shows with any of the other New York bands like Twisted Sister or Danger Danger or Trickster, or trying to think of Skid Row or any of those guys?
No, I remember Baz came. There was a time when Baz did hear our record. He'd heard the first album. We were in California at the Concrete Foundations, And Jerry Miller, who used to be the publisher for
Metal
Metal,
Edge.
says to me, Baz is on the phone. He wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? And me and Baz got kind of a rolling conversation going, but we never got to open for Skid Row. But he did come out on our stage once. We were playing Jersey somewhere. He's it's almost 7 feet tall or something. I'm only like 5'5". It looked like a monkey hanging from a tree. It was pretty funny. But we
Wow.
tour with them. We did our own shows, and we did not get to link up with that many other bands because it was such a short-lived career.
Yeah, I mean, 89 to like 95, like 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, we did do some gigs with other bands that I couldn't tell you their names. There was a lot of things that just were in a fog for me.
How did you know the guys from Alice in Chains then?
We were playing Seattle, our first tour, no, second tour. We were in Seattle, and Mike Starr comes on our bus with a very beautiful girl, and she's just like a buddy of his. So of course, I'm enamored by her. But Mike is on our bus, and everyone's telling me about how great Alice in Chains is. And and then we next thing you know, this guy's on our bus. We hit it up. We're having a conversation, and he's telling me about where he's playing, and the buzz on him is ridiculous. So it's gotten to be about 2:30 in the morning, and I'm still trying to hit on this girl. He goes, come back to the house. The band has bands at the house and whatever. We'll hang out, have beers, you check out some tracks. He played me We Die Young with vocals and without. I heard Man in the Box, rough mix, and I fucking shit my pants. I was like, what is this, man? This is serious. I think Lane was passed out in another room. He was sleeping. They were all crashed out. We were just having a little party in the room. Went back to the bus. I told the guys, this band, Alice in Chains, is like, I can't explain it. It's amazing. And everybody's all into themselves. Oh, whatever, Ray, fuck you, shut up, man.
No, this is before they broke. This is before they were.
And they're I'm like, I get it right away. I got it like, it went through my DNA. I just got it. A few months later, we're in LA, and we're talking to one of our A&R people, Jennifer J, back in the day. We're all crammed in her little car. She says, I want to play you guys my new favorite band. These guys are amazing. She puts in the tape. It's fucking Alice in Chains. And all the guys are leaning up. Oh my God, that's amazing. I'm like, I told you that's what I'm talking about.
I hate that. That shit always happens to me. I'm always like, I tell somebody about a movie or something and nobody listens. And then later they discover it and then they tell people how great it is. Yeah.
It's like Dahmer was really great. What? Yeah. I'm telling you, it's really great. You got to watch it.
That's a good show.
From then they actually came to the city. And when they played the Cat Club, Mike asked me and Lane asked me to introduce them. And it was the place was about half full. And when they came back again the following, you couldn't get in the place. They just blew up and I couldn't even get to them. And then Mike went through whatever he went through. But they were cool.
Yeah. Wow. That's a cool story though.
Yeah. The other one was, I'll give you one more. My friend Phil was in a band called Law and Order. They were our label mates back then. They were opening for Pearl Jam before they blew up. So I'm at this, again, another year at Concrete. I'm in LA, the Foundations Forum. And we go to the Trocadero. My friend Phil says, let's go see the band I've been opening up for. They're really incredible. The singer's a really cool, nice guy. I'm like, okay, whatever. The Trocadero was packed. There's the Troubadour. Whatever, it's packed. And it looks like the most rabid fans. But it's their label. The label is like just into these guys. I was like, man, who are they? These people are really into it. And I never seen that happen before. I never seen it. So they came up and one night, I didn't know the lyrics to Jeremy, but it blew my fucking mind, and to witness that was another cool thing. I got to meet Eddie then for like a quick minute handshake, and you just felt it. You knew that was going to be huge, So that's my big run-ins with like celebrity or me being the A&R thing where I'm like, that's going to be big one day.
Yeah. I mean, because if you're a music fan and you like listening to music and you listen to a lot of it, it's the same with movies. I mean, you can usually tell like what's good and what's not. Although sometimes like what you think is good, the general public doesn't always agree with it. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense that you knew that this stuff was special because you'd listened to a lot of music your whole life.
Yeah, you hear something and you just know there's never been nobody like this guy. And Lane was cool, man, from what I gathered, I'm not a name dropper person, but as far as who I met that I really thought was awesome, what's a cool, nice laid back guy who sung really well. And he didn't have to do anything on stage, but just stand there and just emote and this thing, that was really impressive, I thought.
Yeah. That's just, yeah, it's sad. That's another one that talk about the drug thing, like that just got the best of them. Cause I'd be always curious, like, what if those what if they beat it, and they came back and then he sobered up like him and Kurt and all these other Seattle people and all these other rock stars, like,
Yeah.
and if they, maybe they would have made the best music of their careers, like sober, and they can really have a control on those emotions. I don't know. It would have been cool to see for sure.
Well, you lose a lot of people, all that, losing the singer for Linkin Park and then Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
It goes on and on. But to lose, yeah, yeah. I mean, I saw Mother Love Bone when they were just coming up, and I saw Andrew Wood sing live at the Cat Club. That was cool too.
Amazing. Yeah, that's another one you definitely wonder what would have happened with that band, because he was I liked him better than Eddie Vedder. Yeah, and he was a great. That's what the Pearl Jam. They started with those guys, but I loved Andrew Wood. Yeah, he was great.
And from what I've heard, like he was the catalyst for a lot of the Seattle bands to sort of get their groove on. Like he was like
Yeah.
the muse for a lot of that. So
Yeah, he kind of bridged the gap because he kind of had that kind of 80s glam kind of look and a little bit of a sound, but then also it was new, it was a little fresher, and it was more alternative. And so it would have been interesting to see if they had just stayed Mother Love Bone and they made another out. Would they have made 10 with Andrew Wood singing and maybe his spin on some of those songs? Like that would have been cool. That would have been interesting to hear.
yeah, and then there's a whole changing of the guard vocally into a lower register because you had the guys in the 80s and early 90s screaming at the top of their brains. And then this cool way of more chest natural singing was like, and honest lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of, let's face it, it got silly. It got silly with spandex and hairspray, and the videos were just like, what the hell are we doing? And then this thing comes along and just wipes everybody off the map because this is real.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I liked it. Like when I was a kid, when I first got into rock, it was like 92. And I was in Seattle. I was living in Seattle, and but I was getting into more of the hair metal, but I liked the grunge stuff too. And I love that era where there was a short period where it was kind of both together. Like in 91, all those rock records, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, they all had huge records come out, and it was like amazing. And then it kind of shifted into full grunge. And then, yeah.
yeah, and then and then something is really original and cool, and then you have everything that tries to copy it, and then it gets all vanilla and homogenized again.
Right.
Look for the new thing. What's the new thing? So now the new thing is to be retro and to be cool, And if you're a band like ours that is a lot of my influence is stuff like Tina Turner and funk. I like that, and that should be back on the market. Just grooving music that just makes you feel good and makes you groove. Not just cookie cutter ABC.
Yeah. Did you make some music that was totally different genre, like more soul and funk?
Not. I wish I did. I wish I had that cool soul funk record. It's going to happen to me. But I did make a 10 songs that I was calling APW back in the day. Change it. It's been rebranded, and I got a whole batch of new
All
songs.
Pointz West or whatever.
Yeah, all Pointz West,
Yeah.
right? It was like it's very honest, heavier. It's heavier. It's a little darker, super melodic and heavy on what I call urban groove.
Okay.
Now I've rebranded the whole thing because I always hated the name APW, and that's band's called Superfly.
Oh, okay. And then what happened to Magnificent Beast? Is that still around?
Yeah, that's out of Miami. So we got about 5 songs in the can with that. Great producer Steve Gordon on that. So that's still waiting to happen. If you're doing some research, you're good, man. So that's good. But that'll be out.
What I don't know. I've just heard you mention it. I don't know what kind of style of music is that.
I'm going to say it's in that kind of Alice in Chains kind of vein. It's got that
okay.
dark groove. It's a little heavier than most of the stuff I do. We've got about 5 songs to prep. We're going to actually record them this month because they've recorded everything else. They've been like, wait, when are you going to sing it? When are you going to sing it? And I've been very busy. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But the Superfly stuff is done. That's in the can. We're just putting the together, and that's going to be through Deco and those guys.
Gotcha.
Very nice people. And
so is music your full-time? You say you're really busy. I know you have a son, but is music your full-time career right now? Or are you doing other things to make ends meet, and music is more of a hobby?
No, this music is the thing that's always that's been a problem with me. I sacrificed everything for music, and because of that, I live pretty close to the vest. I'm a very frugal person, but I've always said I've lived out of my suitcase for years. And when I got my shit together, I swore to myself, my life's going to be about music and performing. I went through a crisis of confidence last year. got my act together. I am full on fierce as fuck. I'm fearless. I feel great. So I do a COVID emergency management gig for a couple hours a day because I really feel like I feel like I'm helping people. People dealing with vaccinations or that are having to
Hmm.
look at treatments and things like that. But my full spread eagle is a full time job because now it's taken over my life. So am I a 9 to 5 person? No, I'm not a 9 to 5 person. But I do what I have to do to survive. I'm not ashamed of it.
No,
But
that's,
spread is back and doing more. I did have to make a choice. And I had to make a hard choice because it's like, oh, do I stay safe and just do this little gig? Or do I travel and sing rock and roll for my supper and live with that? The consequences of that. And that's where I've always leaned towards. So it's gonna say on my tombstone, Ray, he went for it again. It's like,
yeah, no, that's really cool. Cause I just heard you talking about some of the other stuff. Like you were doing, at one point you're doing cooking school. You're not doing that anymore? You're not trying to do like, open a
uh,
restaurant or something or?
so late '90s, the Food Network started its thing, and I wanted to be a rock and roll chef. I thought that was just the coolest thing. So, but I learned the hard way. If you want to be a chef or a cook, you need to start that when you're young. You really do because it's a hard environment. It's hot. Everybody's fucking. It's aggressive. It's hot. But I love cooking. I love the creativity of cooking, and it's just like writing a tune. You put things together to make things work. I'm a foodie. I like to when I have good money to spend on a great meal, I'll do it. But I'm also, I cook very well. So Rick, our drummer, he's another badass cook. I think Rick chef for a while. But yeah, man, I I had that sort of other dream. I also wanted to be an actor at some point. I did some off Broadway theater. Um, what?
Did you do comedy too? The stand up or something?
Yeah.
Tell me
Um,
about that. Who did you work with? Cause I've interviewed some of those New York comedians.
let me see. My friend John Corbett. We worked out of a place called the Boston Comedy Club.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
A lot of people, like, I saw everybody go through there. But
Yeah.
I did more like it's the New York circuit, whether it's the comedy club, Caroline's. We would do a lot of open mic stuff, collective unconscious, surf reality in the city. And do some just 5 minute, 5 minutes of work. But I started the open mics like surf reality give you a really good platform to try material. And I found that I was pretty good at it, but the music thing took over again. Every time I want to do something on that's different, something comes around to do musically. So it's been like it's difficult. I'm very ADD. You know,
Yeah.
tried stand up comedy. I've tried off Broadway acting, and just music seems to be my comfort. But it's also it's my comfort zone. And it's not because every time you go on stage, you're outside of your comfort zone and in it at the same time because you never know what's going to happen. When we don't do tracks, nothing scripted, so anything can go wrong. I love that environment. I love that. I'm addicted to that environment.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that you said like you lost your confidence or whatever. Is that where you're talking about the George Lynch thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Because
Because I hadn't been singing that much, and what happened was I was put in a position where it's like, go for the money now, or wait and do it proper. So I was like, oh, I'll just do it now, and I just wasn't ready, man. And I don't think he researched me well because he would have known I wasn't singing things like that. But the point is, I went to do something I was not ready for, and I learned the hard way. Like I'm a person I need to like you and me. We were to work on something. I would need to just be in the room with you and get to know you, to feel you out. That's how I work, and
sure.
I just jam rehearse 1 or 2 times, and I wasn't given that opportunity. And that's the way he operated. But so it's not his fault. He does what he does. You know what I mean? He's a great
Mhm.
player, and he's just going to do his thing. He's not going to make a room. I'm not going to stop this because you need that. So I attempted something, did not work out the way I wanted because I didn't have the vocal switch that I should have had. My technique. I've been singing for a few years. I've been doing bands with lower tuning. I didn't really work my high register. I got
Mhm.
lazy, and spread eagle music makes me work that.
So you
So
need time to like prepare for a gig like that to get your
yeah,
voice
man.
in shape.
Just to get the songs in my DNA takes a little while. I'm not a cover singer guy where I just come in and I bang it out and we're good to go. You know, um,
Yeah, because I only saw a clip, but because I heard you talking about it, then I was like, oh, I got to see this. So I tried to Google it. I found like I don't know, 1 or 2 songs. I thought they sounded fine, so I didn't know. but
But you,
I,
but if you're making a certain kind of money, and a guy comes into your gig, and you feel he might fuck up your money, just get rid of it.
yeah,
It's a mentality. So it's like I wasn't given an opportunity to redeem myself, and that's the way that goes, man. That just means I was meant to do Spread Eagle music and make it happen. You know, Spread Eagle is a really good live band, and that's part of my identity, and I've accepted that. So I'm going to bust my ass to make that happen, just like Rob DeLuca is going to bust his ass to make this happen, because everybody's gotten their shot. We're coming back 100 years later, but I feel like we're still good at it. So it's
yeah.
worth to see the band. And I think and I think I bring something original to the table. So I know that that gentleman mentioned making an album, and I think we could have made a really cool album together. But I wasn't given the opportunity. So it's his loss, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if that's sounds like your Spread Eagle is going to be a better fit for what you
Because
want to do.
as my kid says, I rock.
Yeah. Well, because you guys can do also like the Monsters of Rock cruise and like all these festivals. Like that seems to be like a really high paying gig to get. And a lot of bands of that era are on those things. Have you tried to do that? Is that your next step?
Well, we're talking about that because for years, because when you're off the circuit, it's a very small circle of bands that seem to just do those festivals and cruises. So they finally let Spread Eagle on the boat next year. So we got the Monsters of Rock Cruise 2024.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You are on that. Okay. Awesome. Sweet.
To be honest, yeah. And I noticed that the lineup is a little heavier than what they usually have. They're going to have Accept on there. I saw April Wine on there. I was like, whoa, that's cool. Uh, I want to see Glenn Hughes. That's why I'm going. I'm a huge Glenn Hughes fan. I'm like Glenn Hughes.
Oh
So
yeah, I had him on my podcast. He was in Dead Daisies for a little. Now I think he's back to solo. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna fanboy him to death, man. But
yeah, that's cool.
so I think we put in a lot of work this year to be involved in the conversation. As far as I know, we're the only bands in to ever play M3. So I want to do that too. Anything that takes us up to the next level of doing this is what we want to do. So that's how we're busting our asses. We tour when most bands aren't even touring. We'll play the rooms nobody wants to play because
Yeah, I saw you were coming here, but I think it's funny because I'm actually going to Colorado, and then I think you're playing Colorado the next night, so I might be able to hit the Denver gig that you guys have. You're doing a few like kind of West Coast shows,
yeah.
which is kind of exciting because usually, like East Coast bands, like they don't come out this way very often. So
Yeah, we've noticed that. So we're trying to, we just did the little whiskey run we did. We played Vegas. Vegas was great.
oh, yeah. Did you play what's that room called? I forget. But yeah, Vamp. Yeah, isn't
Oh,
that's
cool. I got a friend, Andrew Freeman. He sings for a band called
yeah.
Last Line, and I've known Andy for a long time, and we brought him up on stage with us. I hadn't seen him in years, so it was like a real cool reunion. So I'm reconnected with the West Coast of my friends out there, and I want to do some shows with them too. So hopefully we'll make it all happen. But
Andrew Freeman, wasn't he in the George Lynch thing? Andy was an Offspring and Great White. He's been in a lot of stuff.
yeah, he's a workhorse, man. He can sing anything. Some guys just have a great, huge, massive voice, and he's doing a lot of Dio. So, and he's doing Dio in Dio's band. So he's got a set of balls, number one, to be doing that. And he's my friend, and I'm proud of him, man. And the fact we reconnected means the world to me. So we're trying to play everywhere, bro. Whether it's your backyard or Vamped or whiskey, you know what I mean? We're trying to.
Does it help if you could tour with a Last in Line or some of these other? Because I feel like that's like always good if you guys could stick together, do like a package, 3, 4, 5, even maybe 6, 7 bands or whatever. Like the bigger the package, the bigger the venue, right?
Right, like the younger bands work together quite a bit. So the rest of the band just got to find a way to get together besides, M3 or the cruise, put little packages together. That would be cool, So anything that elevates, that gets you, little more optics on you, is what you want. So that's why the cruise is a big deal for us, because now we're involved in a different conversation. We're not just playing the club on the corner. Now we're playing with other bands that like get a lot of visibility. So hopefully that will each step will get us a little higher place, get us paid a little more, and so we can survive this thing. We love doing it. I mean, Man, if you'd have told me I would still be doing this, I would have laughed you out of the room, man. Because when I was a kid, I was like, those you don't do that shit when you're old. You don't do that. Then all of a sudden things change. Rolling Stones are like, out there, and you're like, wait a minute, maybe I was wrong. I'm glad I stopped doing drugs so I could do this again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you have that thing in your system where you want to sing and it's in your bones, like you can't really just get rid of it, right?
Well, that's what got me about the whole like the issue of last summer with Lynch, because like you're good. You're good if you just work hard and really put in the effort. And I was like, he said, I don't want you to hate me. I said, I don't hate you, man. You're fucking being honest. I didn't do what you needed. So I kicked my own ass for about a good solid month. And then I said, you know what? This is a fire that I needed. This is the fire. So now I'm going to be a better singer. I'm going to be a better performer. I'm going to be a better friend. I'm going to be better at all. I'm going to give myself the kick in the ass that I needed. And now we're working hard. Now I'm doing Spread Eagle, and I'm able to do my Superfly stuff and able to do Magnificent Beast and things like that.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. I think with the Lynch, it sounds like it just wasn't a good fit. I feel like and
it wasn't.
yeah, that's more of a thing. Yeah. There with I just feel like he was probably looking for particular. He should just why can't he get Oni Logan back? What happened to that guy?
I don't know, man. And Oni and I came up kind of together in South Florida. So we were somewhat besties as young men. And I remember when he got that gig. Actually, I was in this band and we had a song that was a demo. It was called Wicked Sensation. So I was surprised when Oni went to LA and they have a song called Wicked Sensation too. So
Is it the same song or just same title?
Same title. I don't think it was hacked, but I'm like, wait a minute. And then actually the Wicked Sensation song that we had goes, I have the demo. I'll send you the demo and you tell me what you think. But
okay.
I'm like, look at that, man. So that's what I'm like. Maybe I'm on the right, I'm on the track. I'm writing cool lyrics and cool titles, that someone can take it.
Yeah, it's kind of like I feel like that was a big thing in the 80s and 90s, early 90s was like a lot of bands had the same, like Monkey Business, Skid Row had one and Danger had one, and they came out at like the same time.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, okay, like that's what maybe partly too why the grunge thing had to come along, because like there wasn't the grunge songs, they had some weird titles and things that were very unique that people weren't.
It was very honest, man. It was
there wasn't a lot of Spoon Mans. I think there was only one of those, and so
it's funny, but it was that kicked the business's ass. You have to. People always want something new, something fresh, right? When when every riff's been played, every lyric's been written. What do you do? And
that's what I'm thinking now. Like I feel like we need the next thing. I don't know what it is, but I know we need something like, because you have the Greta Van Fleets and all those kinds of bands that are kind of like, I don't know what you call that, like retro. I love it. It's good, but it's like, but what's the next sound? Like what's the, and the Motley Crue and Kiss and these bands came along, they blew everybody away because it was like this new look, this new sound. And like it feels like there hasn't been something like that in a long time.
It's going to be some young guys somewhere in a garage doing something with electronics. It's, every riff's been played. That's
what I thought, electronics. Remember when 9 Inch Nails came out? I was like, oh, this is going to be it. This is the future of like music. This is going to sound like they're going to do the keyboards and stuff. And then that 9 Inch Nails was kind of the only one like that.
Yeah. Then, then Dead Mouse was the new punk. It's like there's a new. It'll come out of nowhere. I don't know what it's going to be. It might just be a pill someone takes, and wow, that's amazing. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Here's Mouse and Chains. Take.
Yeah. Did you ever have you ever heard the band Muse? I really like them. That's like a kind of a different sound too.
Now that guy sounds just like the guy from Radiohead. You know what I'm saying?
I'd have to think about that. Compare that.
Right,
maybe the voice, but not the songs. No, Muse is heavier.
Yeah, but the singer sounds like just like to me, like when I heard Dennis DeYoung from Styx, and somebody played me a Striper song. I'm like,
Michael Sweet.
It sounds like Dennis DeYoung. That blew my mind. I'm sure you never thought of that before.
No, I hadn't. But now that I think about it, yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah, man. I'm like,
I always wonder when bands like that, like with a Greta Van Fleet, I'm like, why don't you guys just lean into it and do a couple Zeppelin tunes? The crowd would go nuts if they try to say like, oh, we don't really like Led Zeppelin. It was like what was that band in the 80s that sounded like Zeppelin, and they would try
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come, yeah. Why didn't they ever just lean into it? Do a couple Zeppelin tunes. I mean, that'd be amazing. Like,
Because we brought that up, and I'm like, wow, but there's always going to. I love Greta Van Fleet. I get it, man. I've seen them live twice, and the second time I saw them, they even were better than the first time. Those dudes got it going on. The stage show is rocking now. But to me, they're like Zeppelin meets Triumph, because he sounded
yeah.
like
When I did see Greta Van Fleet once, and I felt like it was interesting because it was more hippie stuff. There was a lot of slow, like hippie kind of jam, and I was like, well, this isn't very Zeppelin-y. This is more just like 60s jam music. It was interesting.
And they'll be able to do whatever they want because they're at a certain level of success where I don't think they can really do any wrong because they have their crowd. It's not like they can do any wrong. It's like, oh, they have their people. They know who their audience is.
Yeah. But it's not like to that level of the stadiums and stuff. Like they have a good crowd, but I feel like a band needs to come out that's going to be like the next stadium band. Cause like these Motley Crues and stuff, I mean, these bands they're getting up there. They're not going to be around forever. So
I'm going to manage them.
Right? That's what I want to do. Why not? Yeah.
We'll co-manage them together, and we'll make them we'll think stack of fucking production agreements.
Yeah, just in the middle, it'll be like you will give 80% of the profits to me. Like,
enjoy your water.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you don't even need a lot of these bands. Don't even need record labels though. You could just upload the music to Spotify and YouTube, and you're off, and then go tour on your own.
Look, if you can make a great sounding song, whether it's on your laptop in your home studio, whatever, you don't need a big studio anymore. You don't need it unless you have money for it, unless you're the Foo Fighters or whatever, But anybody with access to great recording gear, great software, that's the record company. The rest is all marketing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true. Like there's even your guys' latest Subway to the Stars. I mean, and then there's so many albums that I listen to and I go, this sounds as good, if not better, than anything that was like, cost millions of dollars to make in the 80s and 90s. I mean, because the technology's changed. It's like, I don't know how you guys recorded that, but it's not like back in the day, if somebody recorded something like on their own, it was like very noticeable. Like even some of the bigger bands I won't mention, like they self-produced like their own albums in the 90s or whatever, early 2000s. And I was like, oh, this doesn't sound good. But now it sounds amazing.
Yeah, but what you still got to go through the Neve console. We got to find a nice warm board because we had that for Subway. That does matter. I think the old school production still holds. The Foo Fighters have proven that. It's like it still holds, man. But
yeah, that Sound City. Did you watch that?
Oh yeah, I love that. That was good. That was good. But any kid with a laptop, I've said this before. Anybody with a laptop and software can tell their friends at high school, "Yeah, man, I just finished my album. It drops tomorrow." On SoundCloud. And everybody's a rock star. Everybody has access to recording. What comes out of it, I don't know. My guess is as good as yours, so I'm waiting. So I'm just doing what I can and doing my thing until that next thing comes out.
Yeah, it's kind of a flooded market, but I also think there's because people say like, oh, there's no good bands anymore. I think there's tons. You just got to find them, and it's just there's a lot of stuff out there, but you got to look for what you want. And
there's so many bands. Everybody's vying for your attention. Everybody has a Facebook page, Instagram page. Everybody is a rock star. Every picture is somebody in their garage holding a guitar, dressed in leather pants, or it's an old. Everybody has this mentality. Everybody wants to be famous.
Just be significant, or have a podcast, or be a model. Like, how many TikTok or Instagram models are there now? Like, it's insane.
Yeah, but and you're really like I said to your bros, you're very easy to talk to, man. I feel like we could do this for hours, because I feel like
thanks,
man. You made me feel really comfortable, just so you know that. But there's so much music in the world. How do you get people to pay attention to you? So the only way to do it, as far as I know, is you have to get up, leave the house, and go to the fucking people. That's the way.
That's what I think. I agree. I think that's a huge piece of it. I think you got to do it all. I think you can't just play live. You gotta, if you don't have a Facebook or all that stuff, I think that you're missing a big piece, but that is a huge piece. Cause there's some people that I talk to that they put out an album and I'm like, so when are you going to tour? Well, I don't know if I'm like, you have to tour. Like that's the only way you're going to get fans is like face to face, getting out there and playing the songs and making fans in every city. And yeah.
Because what I won't do though, what I refuse to do is those silly virtual concerts.
Oh yeah.
Stupid, man.
I
I
don't
remember,
think that is that even still a thing. I think that was only the during
maybe I
the
just the people trying. I
time.
remember I was watching. I tried to watch the I Love Heart Radio one. Hilarious.
Oh
You got a band in a room, and there's the little faces like the Zoom thing. It's got like
yeah.
like 20 faces, and people like that was silly. That was
Yeah,
silly.
no.
Be like, come on, but there's no one there. You can't do that.
I think it I guess maybe it kind of makes sense if you're just doing like a solo acoustic and you're
That
just singing with acoustic guitar. I guess that's kind of cool. But yeah, you try to do a concert that way. I just yeah, it
it's
doesn't
just
work. I did see one that was like it was during the pandemic, so they couldn't have a crowd, and they played like a real venue and they played a stage and they had the real sound system. It was kind of cool, but yeah, it's not the same. It doesn't take the place of a live show.
there's nothing like the gathering, and every musician was going to tell you that there's nothing like the gathering, having people in the room, just that energy, that sort of communal thing that happens, that safe space, and you just kind of like having this conversation. It's you write music, people take it in, they learn this language that you created, and you just have it's a conversation back and forth, isn't it? That's what a live show is. You learn this language that we wrote, we're all speaking it together, and we're having a good time with it. The communal thing is where I still love going to a live show and seeing a great live band. I love that feeling and being part of that. And I never want to lose that. And I don't think we will, as long as there are good bands out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's always going to be fans. I think there's going to be people that want to hear it.
Yeah, and everybody that was huge in the 80s and 90s is still touring. You've got bands like White Snake out there. You got everybody is out there. Anybody who had a record deal in the 80s or had a friend who had one is out there touring. Joey's cousin who used to be the bass player, tech in Tesla has a band. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's touring. So
Yeah, it's kind of cool because like yeah, there's a lot of those bands that I didn't get to see, especially living in Seattle and not being over 20. A lot of the bands would come to Seattle and they'd play these shows that were 21 and over. So now I'm able to go see these. Like I just saw Ugly Kid Joe like for the first time. I was a huge fan of them and I got to see them finally, like whatever is a 30 or 40 years later. And they
yeah,
sounded amazing. That's cool. That's the other thing is like a lot of these bands, like they still got it, which is great.
that's the other thing. You got some people that are just phoning it in. I've had it's a drag to go see a band, and they kind of like they're looking like they're swinging for the fences, but they're not hitting the fence. Like some guys are out there singing, and they're just sort of like, all right, so if you can't do the notes you used to do, find some other cool way to sing your song. Don't sit there and look like an idiot struggling. You know what I mean? It's not a good look, man. But
Yeah.
everybody's if you can get out there and do it well, do it. That's why we're trying to do. We're doing it to the best of our ability. We really believe we can be good at this.
Yeah. So so if you can't can you change the notes or whatever the key that the song is in to sing it if it's harder to sing the higher notes?
Always, everybody tunes down somewhat live. No one's got maybe Greta Van Fleet can go in regular tuning. I don't know because that kid's ridiculous,
Yeah.
Joshua. But I think we go down about a step, half step. It saves your voice. I just saw the tour schedule that Rob sent me from. We're going to Europe in September. It's every day. There's no days off. I've
Oh
never done
wow.
it in my life. I don't know if you can pull it up.
Yeah,
It
no, I did see because there's a few US shows and then yeah, I
it
did I didn't how many days is that? It did look like it was about 2 weeks or something, right?
turned into like 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks, but it's like there's no days off. I was just talking with Rob about it today. I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. He goes, oh, you just have to be quiet all day. I'm like, I'm a chatty person, bro. You looking at it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So well, you're playing the ninth and then oh no, it looks like there's some days off 13th, 15th, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, yeah, there is like a big stretch in there where it's
Never
like
done that in my
if
life.
there's a day off on the 25th, you
Yeah,
got so
dude. Hey, I'll call you then if I can. How you doing?
yeah.
What's up?
How
Yo,
many days can you do without taking a day off in a row?
I've done four,
Oh, okay.
really. But my style of singing uh used to be a lot different. It was like a very banshee-esque, screamy kind of thing. And now I've learned that I can do it. I can get away with doing some things very clean. So it's about the intensity and the intent. I have great intention when I sing. So I feel like I'm going to give the people what they need,
Yeah.
and it's
So that's
always
8 shows in a row. Yeah. Although the
there
one
you
on the 21st is a free show, so you don't have to try as hard for that one, I don't think.
there you go. So that's gonna hurt. That's gonna leave a mark, man. So
Yeah.
I'm on an adventure. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm at this point in my life. No, we're not a band that's been around for years and it has, you know, gets all the A+ venues. So we do what we can. We're busting our asses. But I'm at a point now where I can sing so many nights in a row, and I'll feel confident about it because people are always like, "Is Ray going to hit the note? Is he going to do that thing?" And if you just that's what the thing last year got me because I knew that I had it in me, and so I worked my way back, and
So how does that work with Rob? Because he's still in UFO and Sebastian Bach?
oh yeah, he does those gigs. The way he scheduled himself was when he does have a UFO gig, I'm like, go do that. That's a big show. So we're very careful about scheduling. So far it's been cool this year. So there hasn't been anything to be like, oh fuck, But he's what I dig about Rob, where his head's at. He's doing this 100%, 110%. I trust that he's doing that, and he can trust that I'm doing that. You know what I mean? That's a big deal because some people are in it halfway because they have other things to do.
Sure.
He's putting this first, and we believe in this. We're the little engine that never got the chance.
That's cool. Yeah. I
A
mean,
lot of creature named Spread Eagle.
yeah. He should get you guys, like, that would be awesome if he get you on the Sebastian Bach tour or something. Then that way he doesn't, it's like a 2-for-1 for him.
I bet that they probably talked about it. I've never gotten any kind of answer about it. Probably be a little weird for them to even ask Baz for that, which is strange because I used to know Baz back in the day. And when we did play LA that last month, or whatever it was, Baz was there and Andrew was there. It was cool. But whatever strings and connections we can pull, we're going to make happen. So I trust that he's doing that, and I'll do what I can with my end.
Yeah. Well, you just building the name back up there and doing the shows and making more new fans. And, people bring their kids now and stuff. Now you make a fan of their kid. And
It's mind blowing. Guys, we were somebody's high school band. And that guy's passing down to his son or his daughter, and that happens. You see that at the shows. I like when we see there were some kids, they were dressed like kind of gothy, but they were the front and center the whole time. Like, man, you guys are great. Where have you guys been? I'm like, oh, it's a long story, man. Because we have this history, but it's underground. Rock and roll itself is underground. We're not part of the pop market. So a band like us that had some success in the early day, how do you make it happen again? Like, what do? You got to deliver the goods. You got to be a great live band to see. That's all that matters. If you don't have huge hits, so I think we're a good show. We're getting better, man.
yeah. And then is there a new 4th record on the way? I thought I heard you guys say that you already recorded some songs or wrote some. Or
We were writing and recording, and all those shows came along, so we had to take a little break from that. And now that we have most of August off, we'll probably get back to getting something in the can, and then after September, we'll work a lot after September in the studio. But it's changed because we don't have the buses anymore. We do a lot of fly-ins and a lot of SUVs and vans, so we don't have the studio in the back of the bus to write while we're away.
right.
But Rob's a rabid writer, so is Ricky. Ricky lives in the studio and writes as well, and have my little home unit. So we're penning away, man. We're making some good tunes.
So what do you think that record would it be before the end of the year, or are you looking more 2024?
Just the first quarter of next year is when I'd like to have it done. We're already we're going to be ending summer sooner than later. It's going to be last quarter, so I don't see it being out this year. I would imagine the first quarter of next year if we're lucky.
Okay, and that would still be on Frontiers?
I'm not sure because there's a few things on the table right now,
Oh,
and we have a few eyes on us, so we'll see what happens.
cool. Awesome. Well, people can look for that. And then the other, you said the Magnificent Beasts and your solo band, those ones will come out too?
Yeah, Superfly is going to come out. I think that's going to be out in September while I'm out. So as soon as I get anything that's free that you can have in your hand, I'll send it to you. But they're great. They got a great marketing team, and I'm really excited about it because when you write something and what if you build it and nobody came? But we wrote these great batch of tunes, and I've been sitting on these songs for like 10 years. And I'm like, this has to go out, or I'm not going to be happy. I will
Yeah.
not die unless I put this out. So that's where I'm at with this. So it has to get out. It's different. It's kind of like my calling card. It's my bio, so I want people to hear it.
Cool. I'll look forward to that. Then I always end promoting a charity. Is there a charity that you've worked with before or you want to promote?
Cancer, I work with the Breast Cancer Foundation down here, which is Joe DiMaggio Hospital, because my mom died of cancer in 2014. It was the ugliest thing I'd ever seen.
Oh,
because I witnessed what it did to her. So that it's something that really affects me. So if there's any charity that I care about, it's, the breast cancer.
okay. So you said the hospital, Joe DiMaggio Hospital, they have like
They have a children's hospital. I did a few things for the children's hospital, and you haven't eaten humble pie until you've walked through a hospital like that where young people have cancer. It'll change. Yeah,
ugly.
It'll change you.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll put that in the show notes. People want to donate, and then I'll put the website. They can check out these tour dates here. The European ones it's going to be a tough stretch, but yeah, there's a couple American dates too, and maybe more. Would you add more dates possibly?
Yeah. I mean, we just had to get this batch on paper and make them all legit and make them all secure. And now we're starting to add the next year. Because like I said, man, this isn't a 9-to-5 job. This is a crazy schedule job. It's life.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. Well, thanks so much, Ray. This was fun. I'll chat with you later.
I'm glad I got to go. You're fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. I'll talk to you later. My thanks again to Ray West, singer of Spread Eagle. You can follow the band on social media and check out their website for tour dates. They may be coming to a town near you soon. So you can also stream their music, buy a shirt, and all that other great stuff. And if you like the band, you saw them live, then share your experience on social media and help promote them. You can share this interview on social media too and help out the band and my show. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and other social media. I'm going to post some short clips and all my full-length interviews on YouTube. Also, if you can, please give us a rating, a review, or a like where you're listening. I appreciate all your support for the guests and my show. Have a great day and shoot for the moon.